It is so very good to be here with you. This is March Sesshin 2025, I believe the 6th talk. Days of desired reduction to the essential. Meeting this and that, about which, when you ask, nothing and something happened. Does reality depend on me saying or giving my throat a rest? Somehow a skull blazes with empty white light. A person without a mouth quenches the morning spring rain. A body forgets its borders, and the birds know where they are again. Remorse is restored. A pulse is felt. A ringing in the ears finds a place. The procession of spirits marches away into the quiet. Ancestors and echoes, futures flirtings, the last gasps of a haunting. Do the nights and days walk through me, or like a trail that doesn't seem to move but is traveled? I grope around for a road, and while wondering, find it's good where I'm at. It's good where I'm at. We have this life. Strange thing, you can't leap out of it. Every morning, waking up, and you're you. Strange thing, you don't wake up as somebody else. Every morning, waking up, suddenly, there's this body. It's experiencing the senses. Suddenly, there's an environment known with those senses. To one degree or another, cascading into thoughts and feelings and impulses. We wake up, and within a few moments, minutes, there's stirrings of intent and purpose. Some of them very basic. Empty this bladder. Get caffeine. Some of them very noble. I'm going to wake up to what this is. We have our yearnings to relieve discomfort. We have anxious images of the future or warm anticipation of the day. Maybe we have numbness, maybe hesitation, maybe gusto, maybe it's all mixed up. But we wake up, and there's a world, and there's this person, and we know its name. And like a faithful tugboat, everything that's tied to that just gets dragged back along. Where does it come from? Every morning, suddenly born into this life as a being we are responsible for. Whatever I find in myself, whatever boots up as I wake up, I'm responsible for this. It's not my fault, but I'm responsible. This bladder is mine to deal with. This stomach, this heaviness, this question, these desires, these vows. Every time we wake up, the full import of what we're doing here is right there. The full import of what is promised in this practice is right there. For years at the monastery, I woke up with a mild panic attack. Something in me deeply not at rest. I am responsible for this being, 100%. And even another being of utmost love and devotion to us couldn't take care of our life for us. Friendship may be the greatest treasure in life. the greatest support. The Buddha said friendship, the treasure of Sangha, is the greatest of all treasures. And yet, they can't inhabit this interior. Nobody can occupy this seat or that seat. Nobody. Never, ever can, will. They can't meet the inmost imperatives that are intimate to our life. If the Buddhas and ancestors weren't just making things up, in their deep insight, this just keeps going. We just keep waking up as a person in an environment with the senses, with thoughts and impulses and desires and heaviness and sadness and joy and all of it. We just keep waking up, and here we are. You'll never have a moment when you signed on the dotted line. We don't ever wake up as somebody else. It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So we have an imperative to take care of this life. We have the deepest imperative to take care of this life. An observation that is meaningful to me, that even the smallest microbe moves towards well-being. Even the least intelligent insect avoids pain and goes towards pleasure. So our practice, the Buddha's teaching, is an invitation to deeply take care of this life. And we could say there are two aspects. You could call them two to taking care of this life. You could call one of them compassion and one of them wisdom. Compassion. Given all the difficulties that we've endured, why not have the utmost tenderness for ourselves? All the fears, the anxieties, the embarrassments. Just imagine all the fears, anxieties, and embarrassments in a big field, if you could pile them up. Each one was a little token. How many tokens would be in that field? For those of you that are in your 20s, that's a big pile. Try 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. All the bodily trials, all the conflicts, all the many disappointments, all the times that our own illusions cause disappointment. We hung our hopes on something that just couldn't hold that hope. All the fears, anxieties, embarrassments, bodily trials, the failures, the disappointments. Why not have profound tenderness for ourselves? Why not have deep respect, deep companionship for ourselves? This being has suffered so much. Now, often why misses the point. In most of the koans I worked on, very few of them had a question why in it. And partially that was to undermine. If there was why, it was to undermine why. Often why misses the point. Often why passes the buck. When we ask why about this absence of tenderness, we're often saying, what's the cause in the past? Can I trace the links back and find some point to blame? Why do I not have loving kindness? I'll point at my parents. There it is. Good, I'm off the hook. It's Dad's fault. We might blame the culture. Why do I lack self-respect? Well, I wasn't taught that I was worthy of self-respect. I'm off the hook. That's why our practice is not why when we sit, it's what is this here and now? What? Or how is this here and now? Why misses the point. Now we feel that other people should have given us some missing bit. And to me that's evidence that there's an instinct that tenderness is not difficult. We think you should have loved me. We must know that it's actually not all that hard. We have an instinct that tenderness is free. Loving kindness is free like space. There's no reason why they didn't love us. None whatsoever. Unless they were caught up in why. Why I don't have space. Why I can't love you. Why. Huineng has been saying, our real nature is Buddha, and Buddha is replete with compassion. The moment of self-belief says, I can't, because I'm like, well, that's the closed doors of self-belief. But Buddha is replete with compassion. That's our nature. Right now, open your heart to your heart. Just do it. Right now, release anything that disturbs your natural peace. Or alternatively, just ignore anything that disturbs your natural peace. Peace is just given. It's just what our heart, mind is. Right now, open your heart to your heart. And I might not have the skillfulness or the words to invite something that you actually know how to do. Right now, say thank you to the inner forces that hold you up. That help you move forward in life. So sitting here in these uncountable moments, think about how long a moment is, if it has any duration at all, and how many have happened in these 7 days. Sitting here, these uncountable moments, what have you seen in yourself that filters out, blocks, squashes compassion? It's really vital that we're not doing this on autopilot. It's really vital that we're reading this book. It's all basically just laid out. Because the nature of our heart-mind is peace, and as beings, there's this peace plus something else, some other stuff. What have you seen? The gratitude, the profound fortune to be able to sit and do a practice like this while some people are just brewing hatred and building bombs. If you say, I haven't seen anything that blocks or squashes or filters out compassion, very good. You haven't seen anything that blocks it out. And if you see these limits, part of the reason that we've been chanting the Heart of Great Perfect Wisdom Sutra, I think it's so beautiful that in the Platform Sutra, we have Ancestor Huineng telling his assembly, chant the Heart Sutra, and then I'll give a teaching. Right? We have this. We're part of this great lineage of wisdom. That sutra says there's nothing really in the way. We're just not looking closely enough. We just don't want to look. Or we have a habit of not looking. There's nothing in the way. What are these limits of compassion made of? Laziness? What is laziness made of? I remember Hogan a long time ago saying, everyone is so tired, but if I said pizza party tonight, all of a sudden everybody would perk up and get so excited. What is laziness made of? When we say, well, a habit. Has anyone ever seen a habit? A habit is more rare than a hobbit. There's no habit. There's just this moment. There's no habit. We look back with our minds, usually at other people, and we go, you've got a habit. I see that you repeat behaviors. We call that a habit. But no one has ever encountered anything called a habit. There's this moment, and we do something. There's resentment and hatred and despair, we think, are obstacles or limits on my compassion. But what are those made of? Avalokiteshvara clearly saw the emptiness of the five skandhas. That's you. That's me when we look. When we just directly look. There is a strange human thing that sometimes we don't see exactly what we're seeing. Or we're looking at what we could be seeing and not seeing it. Right? It's like a room that you walk into every day, and there's a painting on the wall. And maybe one day you go, oh, I've never seen this painting before. Or you might live on a street that there's a beautiful garden. And usually we're so preoccupied with, getting to the food cart or something that we never see the garden. But then one day, all of a sudden, there's a garden. And it's been in my neighborhood the whole time. How do we see what is actually directly before us? We have to want to see. I think that's part of it. Does a thought obstruct tenderness? What gives it such power, if so? Does a feeling obstruct tenderness? What gives it such power? Sometimes in this practice, we do calm the mind, and that we come down to is this basic feeling stance of our personality. A basic kind of flavor. Maybe we're a little bit of a salty person, or we're a little sugary, or we're a little spicy. Bitter. Bitter's another. Or maybe you're an umami person. And we think, this is who I am. This obstructs me, but why? Why? If this is a difficult moment, whatever this is for you, don't leave it hanging uncompanioned. That's called indifference. That's not what we're practicing here. Just being indifferent to yourself is not the Dharma. It wouldn't be worth, thousands of years of temples and ordinations and all these books and all the stuff. It wouldn't be worth all the stuff if it was just about being indifferent. Let me just ignore my life. Be like a rock on an altar. But sometimes we're practicing like that. Sometimes we're like, I'm just going to sit here and ignore. Maybe if I ignore this crabbiness, it'll just go away one day. Maybe if I ignore this bitterness, it'll just leave. You have to companion your experience. Companion it with a welcoming calm. Companion it with warm awareness. And don't say, I don't know how. There's the voice of can't. The voice of can't. The great deceptor, the great Mara of I can't. I can't. Now, there are some I can'ts that are true. I can't lift 300 pounds. I can't play guitar well right now. I can't have pizza at Oryoki. At least not that I know of. But a lot of I can't is just Mara. Is it really true? Or does it get me off the hook? I can't. Is it really true, or is it just another link in the chain of identity? I can't, and therefore I am. Well, that's a good one. I can't, therefore I am. Huineng, from the Platform Sutra, says, deluded, a Buddha is a being. That's kind of weird. We do that to Buddha. Although Buddha doesn't seem to mind. Deluded, a Buddha is a being. Enlightened, a being is a Buddha. A foolish Buddha is a being. A wise being is a Buddha. A biased Buddha is a being. An unbiased being is a Buddha. As long as your mind is biased, the Buddha dwells in being, but doesn't mind, which I think is really cool. The moment you wake up unbiased, a being becomes a Buddha. Your thoughts conceal a Buddha. Your Buddha is the real one. If you didn't have the Buddha mind, where could you possibly go to find it? He said that stuff. It's really excellent. A foolish Buddha is a being. A biased Buddha is a being. An unbiased being is a Buddha. Buddha is biased towards Buddha, somehow. Each moment, each morning, we wake up into a world. As a world, co-creating the world. How do you know that? Because people aren't having the same experience as you. One of the virtues of actually talking to other people. One of the virtues of the Sangha, if you listen to other people, you realize other people aren't having the same experience as me. Isn't that weird? Isn't that weird? I think the Shruti box is pure hell, but someone else is in ecstasy. Isn't that weird? What does that say? Isn't it weird that I think such and such is a total fill in the blank, and other people think, what a swell lady? Isn't that weird? Each morning we wake up into a world, co-creating a world. And each moment wakes up into mind. We just know it. Just immediately, it's aware. Say, feeling of butt on cushion, and suddenly it appears in mind. Say, sounds out the windows. Suddenly they're amplified, they appear. Were they there before? what Avalokiteshvara did and what we can do is really look closely. So now I want to invite you to just watch thoughts suddenly appear in the space of your mind. Watch thoughts wake suddenly, aware suddenly. It's not that there's a thought and then you go, oh, there's a thought, because that would be a thought recognizing a thought. Each thought just suddenly awakens. See that. Each image just suddenly awakens. Watch thoughts just move and dance and speak and undo themselves like dust motes in a sunbeam. You can do that because nothing that appears is ultimately you. What do you experience when you watch the play of mind, a play of thoughts arising in mind? Observe the effect. It's very interesting. We can meditate very, very intently, determined to get somewhere good, and never stop and look at the mind. Its ground or its expressions, its essence or its thoughts. Thoughts wake suddenly in the space of mind. You're not doing that. See. How could such a phenomena define you, be you? This is a very good practice to spend a good amount of time with. Try intentionally thinking one of the habitual thoughts that you know to just be a story. You know how Jogen Roshi likes to say, you could think I'm a pink elephant anytime. But try one that you actually think, because nobody says I'm a pink elephant. My life it's usually very definitive. And just observe that these are just words. In this moment, those are nothing more than words. The words, I, such and such, appear. Where's the power? Where's the meat? We and we alone experience this intimate life. And the wisdom side of taking care of it is to see it deeply. And seeing it deeply, we respect it deeply. In this moment, there are 6 sense functions happening all at once. And there's seeing, hearing, there's somatic impressions, there's tasting, there's smelling, and there's thinking. But in a way, that's very conceptual because we don't experience seeing, hearing, feeling, tasting, smelling, or thinking. No one's ever heard hearing. The experience of hearing has never happened for anybody. There's just sound. There's colors and shapes. There's tastes. There's thoughts. There's tingles or pulses. So notice, first of all, that you're not doing that, but that they're all happening at the same time. So verify that you're not operating these. They're just happening by some power. They're just happening. And in the natural happening of the sense functions, abide there, and then wonder, where am I? Where am I? Remember when I was a kid in the 80s, everyone used to love to get things with their names on it. You'd go to whatever gift store and there'd be racks and racks of pins and buttons and hats and pencils and banners that said Jane or Adam. Everybody wants to celebrate themselves, we're devoted to our own identity. But what in the world is that name pointing to? Prove that there is such a thing. Right now, there's sights and sounds, feelings and thoughts. What else is there? You're not non-existent. But what is actually there besides those natural functions? Be awake as that. Inevitably, after all this sitting, we come more alive. We come more into gratitude. We come into more appreciation of the ordinary richness of life. Hongzhi says, serene illumination restores wonder, restores clarity, restores belonging to the world. And yet, in any moment of inattention, it can slip away just like that. Just like that. Rumi says it like this: a peaceful face twists with the poisonous nail of thinking. Buddha becomes a biased being. A peaceful face twists with the poisonous nail of thinking. Right? When caught on the poisonous nail of thinking, when snagged, like when you walk through a door and your coat or your shirt gets snagged, that's what he's talking about. Thinking is just one creative expression, one light of our mind. A peaceful face twists with the poisonous nail of thinking. A golden spade sinks into a pile of dung. That's very interesting. We do that to Buddha. We allow the sacred to be shrouded all the time. Golden spade sinks into a pile of dung. Suppose you loosen an intellectual knot. The sack is empty. You've grown older trying to untie such tightenings, so loosen a few more. There is a big one fastened at your throat, the problem of whether you're in harmony with that which has no definition. Solve that. You analyze data, you edit hearsay, you read menus and mistake that for the actual taste in your mouth. Mystics arrive at what they know differently. Mystics arrive at what they know differently. They lay a head upon a person's chest and drift into the answer. What a beautiful image of closeness, of knowing through intimacy. They lay a head upon a person's chest and drift into the answer. Thinking is smoke that proves the existence of fire. A mystic sits inside the burning. There are wonderful shapes in rising smoke that imagination loves to play with. Somebody in Sanzen asked, why is it so hard to wake up? And I said, because you love being Jane. You love being Jane. You're having so much fun being Jane. There are wonderful shapes in rising smoke that imagination loves to play with, but it's a mistake to leave the fire for that filmy sight. Stay right here at the flame's core. We don't chew and chew and chew over our thoughts, our memories, and finally arrive at some resolution, some new vision. We don't chew and chew and chew our thoughts, our memories, what's happened to us, and finally get healed because we thought about it from the right angle at last. We chew and chew and chew our thoughts, and all we're doing is tasting our thoughts. And they become flavorless. They become gross, like in oryoki when you really take the instruction to chew something like 30 times, and you're like, it's time to swallow this thing. Any nutriment long gone. But we chew and we chew and we think, if I keep thinking about this, I'll get a new angle. I'll get another little bit of flavor out of this mouthful. We're completing the world by meeting the world with wholehearted attention. It's not metaphor. You're the fountain of appearance. You're the reason that there is sound. This practice is sacred. Here's a poem by Mary Oliver called I Happened to Be Standing. I don't know where prayers go or what they do. I don't know where prayers go or what they do. Do cats pray while they sleep, half asleep in the sun? Does the opossum pray as it crosses the street? Do the sunflowers pray? The old black oak growing older every year? I know I can walk through the world, along the shore or under the trees, with my mind filled with things of little importance, in full self-attendance. I know I can walk through the world, along the shore or under the trees, with my mind filled with things of little importance, in full self-attendance, a condition I can't really call being alive. Is a prayer a gift or a petition, or does it matter? The sunflowers blaze. Maybe that's their way. Maybe the cats are sound asleep. Maybe not. While I was thinking this, I happened to be standing just outside my door with my notebook open, which is the way I begin every morning. Then a wren in the privet began to sing. He was positively drenched in enthusiasm. I don't know why. And yet, why not? I wouldn't persuade you from whatever you believe or whatever you don't. That's your business. But I thought of the wrens singing, what could this be if it isn't a prayer? So I just listened, my pen in the air.